Hey, what's up everyone? Tech for Daddy back with another review, and today I am reviewing the AMPLIFI Alien Wi-Fi 6 router. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that I am one of the few YouTubers that AMPLIFI did not send a test unit to, so I bought this with my own money. This is my honest review. Nothing's paid for, and this is my honest thoughts on it. So the reason we purchased this was because we were able to get fiber internet connected to our house, and of course I purchased the highest plan, which was a gigabyte speed. However, the router that we had currently really wasn't powerful enough to produce high speeds over Wi-Fi, so we needed to upgrade our router in order to kind of take advantage of those high speeds. And because it supports Wi-Fi 6, and I also have the iPad Pro 2020, which also is Wi-Fi 6 capable, so I wanted to take advantage of that as well as future-proof my new devices. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I am not a networking guru or an IT professional by any means, so I won't be getting too in-depth in that sort of thing, but this will be more of a review for the common consumer or residential consumer. So let's get into it. And starting off with the packaging, all I have to say is wow. I mean, I've never seen a router packaged so nicely before. So the box is very clean and modern looking, and it has a hinge on the top that you open vertically, which kind of presents the AMPLIFI Alien router. It's very cool, very unique. And then you don't see anything but the router when you first open it up. And it's not until you take the router out that you see all the instruction manuals and then the cords that come with it. Now, after taking the router out of the box, you have a setup manual, and then you have a Ethernet cord, which is a very nice Ethernet cord. It's one of the flat ones that I like. And then it also has a power cord that has no power brick, which is also very nice. Everything looks very clean and user-friendly. Most of the times when you open up a router, it has all this information that can be very confusing. This is very, very simple. So taking a look at the Alien itself, I really, really like the design of this. I think it looks great. I love the all black design. I love the tower design. There's not many routers out there that I want to display on my shelf. Most of them have antennas sticking out left and right, or they look like spaceships. This one is just very clean, very simple, and modern looking. One thing that catches your eye right off the top is this LCD display right on the front. I've never seen a router with a full color touchscreen display on it, so this is really cool. I really like this. So on the back, you have these holes for ventilation and for the speaker. Yes, this router does have a speaker. And then it has the 4 gigabyte LAN ports. And then on the bottom, you have the WAN port for connecting to your modem and then the power input. Another thing that'll catch your eye is this small green LED light on the bottom. This will pulsate when it's connecting to the internet and is somewhat of a status light, but I think it's mostly just for kind of a cool ambiance. You can control the settings of this LED light in the settings on the app or right on the router itself on the touchscreen, so you can change the brightness of it or turn it off completely. A big selling point, and something I think a lot of people will be interested in, is that AMPLIFI claims that this has a 1-minute setup. 1 minute and you're up and running. Now, if you're anything like me, you've set up a bunch of routers in the past and none of them have taken a minute. In fact, you probably ran into some issues that have taken a couple of hours to get them up and running. So this is very interesting for me. So inside the box, there is a router quick start guide that literally a 5-year-old could follow. It is that simple. All you have to do is download the AMPLIFI app on a smart device, connect the Ethernet port from your modem to the Alien, connect the power source to the Alien, and then just follow the instructions on the app. It's that simple. So all you really have to do on the app is just answer a few questions, create a profile, and create a network, and you're basically done. It's all set up. You may have to download a firmware update like mine did, but still, the 1-minute claim holds true. I was up and running within a minute, and I was extremely impressed with how easy it was. The cool thing was that while I was setting up my network on the app, I looked over at the LCD on the router and it was telling me exactly what it was doing. It was downloading a firmware update and it gave me a percentage of how close it was to being done. So at no point was I ever wondering, what was going on during the setup or questioning, am I doing it right? Everything was super simple and easy and clear. Now, speaking of that app, It is very user-friendly, very easy to understand. I really like what they did with this. When you're logged in, you're brought to the System tab, which just gives you a general overview of how everything's running on your network. You can see at the top, mine says that everything is great, which I am assuming is the best, so I'm happy with that. And then looking down below that, you can see the number of routers that are connected to the network. Now, what I forgot to mention before is that this is a mesh-capable system, meaning that you could buy another Alien router, plug it in on the other side of your home, and mesh the two together to have a stronger network. Now, I have about a 2,000 square foot home, and I have no problem getting full bars, full signals across every single room and in the backyard and front yard with just one of these Aliens. But if you have a small business or a larger home with thick walls that struggles to get connection in some rooms, you may want to look into getting a mesh system, but I think for most people, one will do just fine. So what you can do is actually just tap on the router, and that will allow you to adjust the settings for that router. So once you tap on it, you can adjust general settings, internet settings, wireless settings. You can adjust the LCD and LED brightness, or just turn on night mode, which turns off the LCD and LED at night and then turns it back on in the morning. This just helps so it's not so bright and distracting at night. Below that, you have a little bit more detailed settings you can tinker with. And then you have your about information, which has like serial number, model number, and that sort of thing. And then firmware updates and support information. Going back to the Systems tab, you can see at the bottom they put the number of devices that are connected to the network, and then the current throughput or how much data is being used on the network at that specific point. Now, if you go over to performance, you can get a little bit more detailed graph of the current throughput, and you can also do a speed test, which will tell you the performance you can get through a wired connection. So clicking on the Guest tab, you can set up a teleport VPN if you want to access your network from basically anywhere. And you can set up a guest network. So this is great when you have maybe family or friends that are coming to stay over. You can set up a guest network for them to access, and you can set it up for the amount of time they're going to stay, or you can just leave it always on for them to access anytime they come over. And then you can click on the Device tab. This will just tell you not only how many devices are connected to your network, but allow you to prioritize devices if you want, one to have priority over another, or you can set up profiles. And this is great for parental controls. You can set up profile for kids and put all their devices under a profile. And that way you can shut off access at certain times if you want to make sure that they aren't using the internet when they're not supposed to be. And then the last tab is a diagnosis. This will just tell you, again, more specifics on how your system is running, how your network is running. And then if you have a problem, you can try to diagnose it here. Now, the cool thing is that a lot of the settings that are available on the app are also available right on the touchscreen of the router itself. So if you don't have your smartphone by you or you don't have access to the app, you can just go over to the router and touch the LCD and get to the settings that way. The default screen on the router shows either the time or the AMPLIFI logo, whatever one you want. You can see the last speed test of the internet below that. And then below that, you can see the current network throughput, which is kind of fun just to watch the wave of throughput go up and down. And then below that, you have the Wi-Fi experience. So it totals up how well your devices throughout your network are connected to the Wi-Fi, and then gives you a total percentage. And then below that, you can see again how many devices are connected, either wirelessly or wired. And then at the bottom, you can see the current temperature of the router, current CPU usage, and then memory usage. And then you have settings at the bottom. Now, these are all modules, meaning that you can click on them and get more information or change settings right on the router itself. So for instance, the internet speed test, if you click on that, you can see the last speed test or run a speed test right on the router itself. Same thing with network activity. You can click on that and see what devices are currently using the most data. And same thing with all the rest of the modules. You can click on them and just get more information or actual change settings right on the router. So finally, let's get to performance. I am seeing a huge increase in speed and coverage with the AMPLIFI Alien, specifically with my Wi-Fi 5 devices. So for instance, my iPhone, which is Wi-Fi 5, I was only getting 150, maybe 200 megabits per second with my old router. But with the AMPLIFI Alien, I'm getting 350, almost 400 speed tests, which is great. I'm also seeing a huge bump in coverage. I can get 300 megabits any single room, upstairs or downstairs in my house. I can get 200 megabits in my backyard. I even walked over to my neighbor's house, and was still able to get 60 megabit download speeds from my neighbor's house, which is nuts to me. One thing I did want to mention is that my Wi-Fi 6 enabled iPad Pro of 2020 is not seeing much, if any, speed increase over my Wi-Fi 5 devices, which is a little bit disappointing because you see other YouTube videos where Wi-Fi 6 devices are getting 700 megabits down over Wi-Fi. So I contacted AMPLIFI, and they said that because I live in South Minneapolis, which is a very congested Wi-Fi signal area, that is probably the reason why I'm not seeing a big speed increase. However, they are working on firmware updates that should address that issue in the future. So I do hope that that does get addressed, but just something I want other people to take note of if you live in a very congested signal area. And just to reiterate, I am definitely not complaining over 350, 400 megabit down speeds over Wi-Fi. It's the fastest I've ever seen, fastest I've ever had, and I'm very happy with it. So we've had this for a couple weeks now, and it's been running smoothly since day one. There's been no performance issues. There's been no drop signals. There's been no issues with coverage. We've had a strong signal throughout. So in terms of performance, I can't speak highly enough of the AMPLIFI Alien. And on top of that, I think it just looks really cool. I think it looks great, and people tend to notice it when they come over. So I think the real cool thing about this AMPLIFI Alien is that it gives you professional networking speeds, but without having to really know anything about networking or IT per se. So, we're all downloading more, we're all streaming more, especially during COVID-19. So we all need more performance, but not all of us know more about networking or IT. So that, I think, is the great thing about this AMPLIFI Alien, is that it will give you better coverage, it'll give you better speed, but you don't need to know more. In fact, all you need to know is how to follow a few instructions and download an app. And that's why I highly recommend this to the average consumer, because it mixes that strong professional performance with extreme usability and easy setup that I think we all long for. So that's why I think this is probably one of the best routers for the average consumer on the market right now. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer them. Again, like I said, I'm not an IT or networking professional, but I will do my best to try to answer those. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.